What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Khamzat Chimaev's team reveal UFC return date. Although there had been concern that Khamzat Chimaev would retire following his latest withdrawal, both he and his team have now made it clear that after recovering, he plans to return to the octagon, despite Dana White previously revealing that he was unsure when Chimaev would be back in action. His team announced in an interview with Russian media outlet TASS that he would like to fight at UFC 308 in Abu Dhabi, so long as he's recovered. According to Chimaev's team, quote, Khamzat can fight at the tournament in Abu Dhabi in October, but everything will depend on his condition. The MMA community was quick to react to the news, with one fan writing, "You get sick and feel better 4 months later? That's a serious tummy ache." Another added, "Of course, it has to be in Abu Dhabi." One fan wasn't happy with the timeline, adding, "October, bro? Come on, that's just awful news." Another member of the MMA community wasn't impressed with the update, writing, "That's just words then. Technically, he can fight anytime, but it will always depend on his condition." Others aren't sold, with one fan writing, "Yeah, I don't believe it. He's gonna get nervous again, then get sick. It's okay. It's normal for some people. Probably starting to get bad anxiety lately." One member of the community suggested the UFC cut Chimaev, writing, "Just cut him. See if he can even make it to a fight before making plans to involve him." So far, no word yet as to who Chimaev could face when he returns. However, Paulo Costa recently threw his name into the hat, revealing that he believes a fight with Chimaev is just what he needs to bring back the old Paulo Costa after back-to-back losses. Next up, let's take a look at Alex Pereira's reaction to Conor McGregor news. Conor McGregor recently announced to fans that a broken pinky toe forced him out of his UFC 303 fight with Michael Chandler, after much speculation from the MMA community. Of course, after UFC 300, it was revealed that Alex Pereira, who will be stepping in for McGregor at UFC 303, had broken one of his toes before the event. On top of that, Pereira then sustained another broken toe in his main event clash with Jamal Hill, leaving fans to wonder why he can fight at UFC 303 but McGregor can't. During a recent interview for Stake.com, Pereira spoke through a translator, reacting to the news of McGregor's broken toe while defending him from critics. "You know, Conor knows how he feels, and I think we're in very different situations, and he has the means to be able to make those decisions. People will say, 'Oh, but you fought with a broken toe.' But just different circumstances and different moments in our lives, and I felt like I had to fight, and if he feels he can't fight, it's really his decision and how he feels." During an appearance on the MMA Hour this week, Yuri Prohaska spoke about the timeline for the fight, revealing that he and Pereira were already in negotiations for a rematch.
Yes, that was in the plan. The first negotiation was about the October Abu Dhabi, then the August Australia, and then came here, Vegas.
Given that McGregor's injury isn't a serious one, it'll be interesting to see when he returns to action. Next up, let's take a look at Michael Page explains Kamaru Usman call-out. Ahead of his UFC 303 bout with Ian Gary, Michael Venom Page has already called his shot, naming Kamaru Usman as a potential opponent he would be interested in competing against in the event that he gets a win on Saturday night. While there's been no word on when Usman will return to the octagon following his short-notice loss to Khamzat Chimaev at middleweight, the expectation is that when he returns, he will do so at 170 pounds. During a recent video for Israel Adesanya's Freestyle Bender YouTube channel, MVP explained his call-out of the former champ.
You've got the likes of, I think it was Gilbert Burns is number 6, but he just come off a loss, so I think he's going in the opposite direction where he's going to have to kind of, reestablish himself. Madalena and Shavkat, them guys are going to probably face off. You got Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad, they're fighting. Usman's just chilling there.
As Page went on to explain, while he has loads of respect for Kamaru Usman, given that everyone else in the division is already paired up, a bout between the two makes sense unless he somehow walks into a title shot after his upcoming fight with Ian Gary. Next, let's take a look at Cory Sandhagen talks about Sean O'Malley fight. While Merab Dvalishvili is expected to get the next crack at Sugar Sean O'Malley with a win over Umar Nurmagomedov in August, Cory Sandhagen could find himself next up for a crack at the winner. While speaking in an interview with MMA Mania this week, Sandhagen was asked whether he would prefer to fight O'Malley or Dvalishvili. In response, Sandhagen revealed that he's cheering for O'Malley to get the job done against the Machine in order to set up a future fight between the two and give the fans what they want.
The fans really, really want to see me and O'Malley fight. Like, that's something that they've been asking for a really long time. I'm going to go out and do my part and win this fight. I want O'Malley to go out and do his part and win his fight. That way, this championship fight can be one that's just been one of the most highly anticipated MMA striking matches that so many of the fans are already really, really intrigued in. And just the fact that we can do it on the championship level and the championship scale, I think would just make such a huge fight. So,
of course, so far, there's been no word as to when O'Malley and Dvalishvili will compete for the bantamweight title. According to O'Malley, he's been pushing for the fight to take place in September at the Sphere, but the bout may end up getting pushed off to December. Next, let's take a look at Tom Aspinall breaks silence on pound-for-pound debate. There's been quite a bit of debate surrounding the UFC's pound-for-pound rankings as of late. The official rankings on UFC.com currently have Islam Makhachev occupying the pound-for-pound king spot, following his recent victory over Dustin Poirier. However, Dana White believes that it's John Jones who is the true pound-for-pound king. The situation sparked quite a bit of debate, with some fans supporting Jones's claim and others Makhachev's. During a recent interview with JP Mastanza, Tom Aspinall weighed in on the situation.
In my opinion, I think pound for pound stupid. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. Like the biggest, strongest guy is the best, and you can't say if everybody was the same size and the same weight who would win. It's like hypothetical stuff. It's like saying if Batman's going to fight Superman, who's going to win? Like, it's a pointless argument. It's never going to happen. It doesn't exist. It's just silly. I don't understand the whole pound for pound rankings, the pound for pound debate. It's just hypothetical.
So far, there's been no word as to when Jones will return to the octagon to fight Stipe Miocic. However, the expectation is that the two will fight before the end of the year. Whether or not Jones decides to continue fighting or walks away from the sport following the bout, only time will tell. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at Brian Ortega reveals shocking news. After being sidelined for a full year and a half, Brian Ortega made a successful return to action earlier this year in Mexico City, where he submitted Yair Rodriguez in jaw-dropping fashion. Following the cancellation of the original UFC 303 co-main event bout, Ortega decided to step in on short notice to compete against Diego Lopez this weekend. During a recent interview with MMA Junkie, Ortega explained why he chose to step in on short notice after just 2 fights in the past 2 years, revealing that he wants to donate $100,000 of his purse to Fearless Church in Los Angeles.
One of the biggest reasons why, it's basically the main reason why I accepted the fight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible, man.
It was my pastor and I, we went to this thing called Man Camp, and we did that. And after that, it was life-changing. A lot of men got saved. A lot of men got to be themselves authentically, without no judgment, without this, it was real.
As Ortega went on to explain, his kids were able to share in the experience with him, and given the positive impact it had on them, he wants to fund the same experience for others with a $100,000 donation post-fight. Joe Rogan rips the new UFC gloves. The UFC recently debuted an all-new glove design, which included a new pair of golden gloves used in title fights. However, so far, the MMA community hasn't been too pleased with the change. In addition to a surprising lack of knockouts since the promotion switched to the new gloves, Joe Rogan recently criticized the change for one key reason: they don't cut down on eye pokes. As he suggested, the UFC should have used another design that includes an unpadded cover that goes over the fingers. During a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan explained why he doesn't like the new gloves and how the design he's suggesting would minimize eye pokes.
Hey bro, these new gloves, they ain't no better than the old gloves. They made a better glove. It is better, I should say. It's better padding. The best gloves are clearly not made yet. They need to cover the fingers. You know, they need to cover the fingers. There's no reason for you don't ever do this, ever. The fingers never come into play. Yeah. There's not a time where your fingers, you always do this
Interlock,
or this,
yeah.
Whether it's
Cable
grappling
grip
or striking. All you have to do is have padding on the knuckles and a protective layer, a thin leather layer that covers the hands that the fingers slip into.
But what about wrist
Then
control?
you cut out.
Other members of the MMA community have suggested that the UFC adopt a style of glove similar to the ones previously used in Pride, or the ones Trevor Whitman has designed that naturally curve the fingers inward to mitigate eye pokes from outstretched fingers.